Times are tough and money is tight. We're going to show you how to save thousands on your next build.
And we're even going to show you what we regret on our own builds so you guys don't make the same mistakes. We're back for another Beers in the Shed, and I've got my good mate Jocko on the line.
Righto, Jesse, let's get into it, mate. First things first. Oh, I love that sound. Don't let your four-wheel drive be your biggest regret. Here's how to buy the right one from the start. The question that you need to ask yourself before you lay down your hard-earned for your dream four-wheel drive is, what do you want to use the vehicle for? Now, that can be a little bit hard to answer if you've never wheeled before, but in most cases, you'll fall into one or two camps: tough wheeling or touring. I'm speaking from experience here. When I bought my first four-wheel drive, which was my solid axle swapped Hilux, I didn't really want to do any tough four-wheel driving. I went out and bought a dual cab ute because I wanted to go camping and exploring with my mates, and I thought a dual cab was the best thing to do that. And that's what I did at the start. After a while, I started driving it on a bit more technical tracks and started realizing that I really enjoyed that side of things more and more. And that's how the vehicle started becoming a little bit more extremely modified. So from my experiences, I would say this: if you're looking to start out four-wheel driving and you're not sure what to get, if you reckon you want to do a bit more tough wheeling, a bigger full-size four-wheel drive is the go, like an 80 or a GU. If you want to do a bit more touring and exploring, an IFS dual cab ute definitely seems to be the one that reigns supreme.
Facebook Marketplace bargains. Now, they can be good, but you do have to be aware on some of these bargains.
Mate, you're a bit of an expert on Marketplace, so run us through it. Mistakes you've made, deals you've gotten, I'm sure there are plenty.
Mate, I've got some good deals, and I've also wasted a lot of money on Marketplace and time, but I do love it. What I've learned over the years, though, is there are some things you definitely do buy on Marketplace and some things you don't. You know, as you know, Marketplace can be a bit of a faff about, messaging back and forth, trying to line up times to go and look at things and just working out the condition of the product. For an example, one of my mates, he's a fridge mechanic and he really wanted an angle fridge. He bought an old angle fridge, and him being a fridgie, thought he could fix it up cheap. It ended up costing him more than buying a brand new fridge. So that's just like, maybe just look into it a bit more before you go and impulse buy something. I've bought a few things like suspension and diff locks, thinking it's great to buy the second hand, it's much cheaper, but the diff locks didn't come with all the parts in the end, or they were broken. And by the time I repaired them, once again, they were worth more than retail price. I've definitely been guilty of it. And probably yourself, Jocko, you've ended up getting a bargain, and by the time it's on your car and working, it's not really a bargain at the end of the day.
Hit the nail on the head, mate. Sometimes you can score absolute bargains on there, but sometimes not. The trick is knowing the difference between the two and, spending a bit of time really doing your research, having a look at what's out there, comparing the prices of things on Marketplace with them being new as well, I think is another good one to do, because you might find you're not really saving that much money in the long run if you need to throw parts at it, as you said. Old versus new vehicles. What will really save you thousands on your dream four-wheel drive? Okay, first up, you want to pick the right four-wheel drive. Do you buy an old vehicle or do you buy a new vehicle? Now, with a new vehicle, as you know, Jesse, you've got a big initial outlay for that brand new four-wheel drive, and you don't need to spend anything on it for a long time. It's good to go, to drive around. It's new, it's nice, it's comfortable. And pretty much all you need to do, as Graham would say, is fill it with a tank full of diesel and go out and explore.
Yeah, most definitely. And Dave's Parado is a perfect example of that in our recent Simpson desert trip. Brand new car, straight to the desert, not a problem the whole trip.
Exactly, mate. And compare that to an older vehicle. Now, I guess an older vehicle gets a little bit more complicated here, because you might get yourself an absolute steal and you may not need to spend money on it for a while. And you can do the same thing. You buy the car, you go out and you use it. And that's probably the best one you can get when buying an old vehicle. However, it's more likely that when you buy that old vehicle, you're going to have to spend probably a few $1,000s, mate, on replacement parts, belts, hoses, filters, fluids, steering rack ends, all those bits that will probably be a little bit tired depending on how old the vehicle is. So whilst you might be saving money initially compared to buying new, you may be spending more straight away to get it up to scratch, to make it safe, comfortable, and reliable to drive on the road.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't have said it better myself. The tricky one with this is there's actually no right or wrong answer. It all just depends on what you want to do with the vehicle and the budget you sort of have to spend, because you don't want to go and blow all your budget and then mean you can't go on a trip. Whereas if you're not going to do massive remote trips, you just want to do some local camping trips with the family, maybe in four-wheel drive parks, a cheaper four-wheel drive that you're not going to daily drive could be the answer if it means you're going to get out there a lot quicker.
Buy your vehicle, whether it's new or old, get it ready to drive around with any maintenance if it's an older vehicle, and then get out and use it in its stock form and go from there. Now, Jesse, mate, our next point is something that you and I believe in to our core, and that is, of course, as you know it,
seat time over shed time any day of the week. What we're trying to say is no matter what car you got and no matter what type of wheeling you want to do, you don't have to go and throw a parts catalogue at it straight away. What do we recommend people do, Jock?
Mate, the best thing you can do, get out and use your vehicle's stock. You'll very quickly find its limits, and the more time you can spend in the seat driving it than working on it in the shed, the better it'll be. You'll be able to figure out what mods you want to do, and you'll learn the limits of your specific vehicle.
I think it's one of the best things you could possibly do. It'll save you money, you'll have a ton of fun, and you'll learn a lot about your car too.
The best three, mate. Save money, learn about the car, and have fun. It doesn't get any better than that. Now, Jesse, mate, we agree on seat time over shed time every day of the week, but our next tip, maybe we don't agree as much. Petrol versus diesel. Which one is right for you?
Yeah, that is true. Now, you actually are swaying over my side a little bit here. You're putting a petrol turbo on that nice red Hilux you're building. But yeah, before that, you sort of, whenever I said anything about a petrol forward drive, you would screw your nose up. Now, definitely, they're not for everyone. But what I want to say is I've got a few petrol forward drives and I love them. I think they're great. And, diesels do have their purpose. But for someone getting into it, I wouldn't say don't get into forward driving or wait another 6 months to buy your car if you want to buy a diesel. Petrols can be great. Say, if you want to have get into harder wheeling and have just a play car, you're not daily driving it, the fuel usage doesn't really matter. Stock standard, a petrol forward drive is going to beat an NA diesel, especially we're talking 80 series, 100 series, GUs, all that sort of things. The diesel that don't come turboed, straight out of the box, you go to a muddy hill, the petrol forward drive is going to get up there. You got wheel speed straight away. Yeah, use a bit more fuel, but you don't have to turbo, you don't have to do power mods. You can spend that money in other areas.
Jesse, you raised some good points there, mate, and I guess it comes down to how often you're using the vehicle as well, particularly with fuel. Yes, an older petrol forward drive might be cheaper to buy, but maybe the cost of spending more fuel, you'd be better off buying a diesel and saving a bit of money there, despite the more expensive purchase price. The prime example would be Graham's Y62 Petrol. That is a new petrol forward drive. Now, towing, he used only a couple of litres more per 100 with that Y62 than he would have with that big, heavy diesel forward drive as well.
Look, Jock, we could sit here all day and argue about petrol versus diesel, but this is another one of those great topics where there is no right or wrong answer. It's really up to you guys sitting down at home that's going to buy the forward drive. It depends what you're going to do with it, your budget, and where you want to go with it.
Exactly, mate. There's a general theme through here of what you're going to use the vehicle for with buying the right forward drive, and I reckon you absolutely nailed it. Now, next up, when it comes to owning your dream forward drive, there's a lot of things you can do to save thousands by doing maintenance yourself. With your forward drive, chances are the issue you're facing, someone's already fixed it. YouTube, Facebook, forums, social media, workshop manuals. Learn what breaks on your forward drive.
Yeah, mate, I couldn't agree more, and I love the internet for that type of thing at the moment. When I was doing that BMW GU swap, it was a big learning curve for me. And I remember one night out in the shed, I was out in the shed about 10:30, had the auto all apart, and I actually had YouTube up on my phone. I kept pausing it and looking at what he was doing, and he had arrows everywhere. And when I put the gearbox back together, the vehicle drove. So I was super stoked and thankful for that. You guys probably don't think Jock and myself do things like that, but we actually do. No one knows everything, and you'll never stop learning.
There's some really good points of how handy the internet is when it comes to building and maintaining your forward drive, but there are some negatives as well. I reckon it's so easy to fall into the trap of seeing a vehicle on Instagram or Facebook, on social media, and thinking that's what you need to build. And a lot of the time, you don't really need all those things to get out there and explore.
Oh, 100%. And probably you and I are guilty of this too. I know there's a couple of mods on my car I've done because, I need that. It's cool. And I spend a lot of money doing it. I'm like, I didn't need that. It doesn't get me any further up the track. Some of the best fun I've ever had would have to be in Darrell when you're in the pony, or when I was in that Zook down in the high country and Coffs. Like, you couldn't get a cheaper car, and I had a smile ear to ear the whole time.
Jesse, I couldn't agree more, mate. Some of the most fun we've ever had in a four-wheel drive. It didn't cost an arm and a leg to do it. We just got out there in cheap cars with good mates and had fun.
This right here is going to be one of the rarest four-wheel drives in the country. Of course, it's the Ram 1500 TRX Final Edition, and there's only 140 of these in the country. It's got over 700 horsepower. It comes with 35-inch tyres standard. Get this, it'll do 0 to 104.5 seconds, making it one of the most powerful four-wheel drives that you can buy. And the best bit is, you could win it. Barter Cars for Cancer is giving you the chance to win this Ram 1500 TRX Final Edition, plus this fully custom Wild Trail caravan and $50,000 worth of cashable gold bullion. Now that brings the total price package to over $450,000, which could be yours for as little as $30. And have a look at what you'll be towing. Now this is a fully custom Wild Trail caravan, complete with mud tyres, independent suspension. You can take it just about anywhere, and the best bit is you'll be doing it with your family in absolute luxury. Whatever you do, make sure you jump onto the website carsforcancer.com.au and get yourself a ticket for your chance to win this awesome prize behind me. But whatever you do, make sure you get in really quick, because these tickets are likely to sell out quick. Good luck.
Now, one area where it comes to saving money on your four-wheel drive that if you get wrong, not only will cost you thousands, but will make your vehicle not drive very nice as well, is of course with suspension. Now, to make sure you get the right information, I sat down with my good mate Simon at Tough Dog and asked him a couple of questions on what you need to do to get your suspension set up right the first time and save some cash. So I've got a couple of questions to ask you, mate, on how four-wheel drivers can get their suspension set up right the first time. Straight off the bat, when you lift a vehicle, what actually happens to your suspension and handling?
Look, predominantly when you lift a vehicle, the first thing that you affect is geometry. So what we're looking at is restoring the caster angle back on the vehicle and alignment settings. What's the issue you're currently experiencing, and how have you modified your vehicle by fitting a bull bar or a canopy or drawers? And how we're going to address that with the correct spring rate. So when you buy a brand new vehicle or a second-hand vehicle, that development process was done without the bar, without the canopy, without the rock slides. And so as we go ahead and modify that vehicle, there's a call for an increase in spring rate or a decrease depending on what you've done with the car or what you choose to do with the vehicle. Don't ever rock into your suspension shop and say, look, I'm going to be getting a bar and a winch and a rear wheel carrier. You cannot fit a coil spring or a leaf spring in anticipation of a component that's going to be fitted possibly in 6 months' time, maybe in 12 months' time, because A, the alignments will be out, and B, it's going to ride like a bucket of bolts. It will be super, super firm.
And what are some telltale signs that your suspension is not set up correctly?
Really bad tyre wear and super uncomfortable inside the cab of the vehicle. That's another thing. Like if you're getting knocked around, just driving over the smallest bumps, it could be severely oversprung. So there's the tyre would probably be the most predominant thing though. The tyre will tell you what the car needs.
All right, so we've picked the suspension, or we know what suspension we want to put, we know what we're putting on the vehicle, but how do you match the suspension load to the type of driving and the stuff you're carrying?
Look, there's no real, set way of doing that. Again, it's about selecting the correct spring rate to suit the accessories that are on the vehicle. That's predominantly what we're focusing on here. If your expectation would be, say, to have a damper which is externally adjustable because you've had a great experience in a previous four-wheel drive, I would suggest that you go looking at a shock absorber that has an external valve on the outside, so you can dial whatever valve code you like, whether it be too soft or too firm. That's something that everyone has their own, thought process on. I mean, the reason why we've all come across and, brought out things like remote canister shocks with external valves is to allow the customer to dial in the ride quality they enjoy. So that's one thing I would say to most customers is, if you are wanting a firmer suspension, probably buy something that is adjustable so you could dial it up. And again, if you want something that is on the softer side, you're still coming back to the adjustability. So we have a lot of people that will say to us, is it worth getting the adjustables? And I would say, well, look, if you in your mind have just come out of an XR6 Falcon or a Commodore and you've been driving a vehicle with almost no body roll and it's very neutral to drive, I'd probably steer you more towards an adjustable product.
All right, so on that, a lot of DIYs will be watching this. I'm one of them as well. What are some of the common mistakes you see from people trying to fit suspension and do it themselves?
I would suggest that if this is something that you don't do as a regular job, I'm not a bricklayer, so therefore I would not build my own house. 25 years ago, fitting a leaf spring or a coil in a solid axle car was a fairly simple process. But these days, as I say, with headlight modules, ABS lines, and brake lines that are near at full capacity, at full stretch, in all honesty, for the cost of getting a suspension kit fitted and aligned correctly, it's not worth the hassle of doing it at home yourself.
Mm-hmm. Well, Simon, thanks so much, mate. Every time I come down here and chat to you, I learn so much, and hopefully a lot of you guys at home have as well. So thank you for your time, and we'll see you on the next trip, eh?
Thanks, Jock. See you soon.
Cheers, mate. Righto, Jesse, we've looked at buying the right four-wheel drive. What about saving money on gear once you get it?
100%, mate. That is a very good one, and probably one of the biggest investments you're going to put on your four-wheel drive would be a good set of tyres. Now, this is where lots of people make mistakes. They get the biggest, most aggressive muddies they can get, and they might do 4 trips a year and a heap of highway driving. I think the Pony is a great example. You don't need big tyres to do some of the toughest tracks in Australia. That thing's done $1,000 track. It's done Cape York. It's done Coffs Harbour. It's done Glasshouse, and it's only on 33-inch mud tyres.
Yeah, mate, especially if you get the wrong tyres. That'd be easily over $1,000 wasted on your vehicle. And as you mentioned with the Pony being capable with the smaller tyres, there are all these hidden costs. It's not just the purchase price of the tyres, which are expensive. If you go to big tyres, you need to factor in diff gears, wear and tear on your vehicle, the right suspension to fit it, and if you go too big, then you've got to have to look at engineering as well, which can cost thousands of dollars. There are all these little hidden costs. So get the right tyres on your vehicle to start with, and you'll save thousands of dollars, I reckon. And speaking of gear you really need, one area that I reckon a lot of people would have something to say about would be 12-volt setups. You can spend tens of thousands of dollars on 12-volt if you want to. It probably would make sense if you're planning to do a big lap or you're living off grid for a lot of the time. But do you really need a $4,000 plus 12-volt setup if you go camping 6 weekends a year with your mates and you run a fridge and camp lights? Probably not. There are a lot of things when it comes to 12-volt in particular that are nice to have, like coffee machines and induction cookers, but you may not actually need it, and you can save thousands on 12-volt if you go for a bit more of a basic setup.
100%. One of my things when I'm on four-wheel drives is I look at the mods, is that going to get me further up the track? And if it's no, well, I'm going to cheap out on it. My GU is a perfect example. Exact same as your Disco. Last year we went to Cape, had a voltage sensitive relay for the dual battery system, and we did 3 weeks up in Cape, no dramas. I didn't have a heap of camp lighting, but what I did is I had a couple of just magnetic ones that I'd charge during the day via USB, and I could stick them and take them around and get firewood. So that was my camp lighting solution. And it wasn't the flashiest thing, but it definitely worked. And I think I had a $20 gas cooker from Bunnings. Mightn't have been induction. I had to put some heat shields up when it was windy, but it meant I could get up to Cape that year because it fitted them all in my budget. Now, before I jumped on the phone with the mate Jocko, we threw up on Instagram. We wanted you guys to tell us some of your best money-saving hacks and some of the biggest mistakes you guys have made on your builds. And we got inundated with answers and messages. I tell you what, some of them I read and I'm even guilty of doing myself. And we've got a couple of prizes to hand out today. We've got 2 prizes to give away for the best money-saving hacks and 1 prize to give away for the biggest lesson learned or biggest mistake you've made during a build. What have we got to give away today, Jock?
Mate, our mates at Repco are backing you guys at home with 3 $100 gift cards to give away to help you finish your builds. Here from Rig by Bryce. Don't spend 100 grand on a 79. Spend 20 on a GQ and go twice as many places with half the worry. You've only got one worry. The fact is you're driving a GQ, mate. So,
Well, he does have a good point, but that leads on to Harry's answer here. And I think it's a great answer. It's very simple. It says, sometimes less is more. I couldn't agree with him more.
This one from Baby Giraffe 86, mate. Seat time is key. Use your 4-drive to work out what it needs and how comfortable you want to be. That's spot on with kind of what we've been saying as well.
100%. I reckon that is a good one. Do you reckon that's worthy of a prize, that one?
Yeah, mate. I reckon Baby Giraffe 86 has got a $100 Repco gift card coming his way because that is spot on. Seat time is king.
100%, mate. That is a great one. Seat time over shed time any day of the week. There's another standout question here, and I really love it, and I encourage people to do it. It's from Brian Leach 5. I reckon he's won himself a $100 Repco voucher as well. Learn to work on the basics first. basic servicing, basic wiring. It's all teachable on YouTube too, and I couldn't agree more. Watch a few videos and get out there and have a crack, because you can save yourself some bucks by doing some of these jobs yourself for sure.
The second question we asked is, what's the biggest mistake you've made whilst building your four-wheel drive? We've got some cracking answers straight off the bat here. We've got one from Psycholis. And I'm actually kind of guilty of this one as well. Changing the goal halfway through from, say, hard wheeler to tourer. Definitely something that can cost you thousands if you're not careful.
100%. And you wouldn't be comfortable touring in a hard wheeler. You can make a car that does everything, but it's not going to be great at everything. There's a good one on here that I think both of us really agree with. It's from Josh, and he said, thinking he needs mods to have fun. He said, standard cars are way more fun than a capable one. And I would 100% agree. That red Zook that we had, I was smiling the whole time I was wheeling that thing, man.
Oh, mate, spot on. And Yashatron said the same thing. Throwing on mods before stretching the platform in stock form. Those two are kind of similar, and yeah, we could not agree more.
There's one here from Savage Tracks 4x4. This is actually one that always comes out of Shaun's book of excuses, and it is too much weight. Now, too much weight can be no good when you're hard wheeling, and if you are touring too, it can be pretty bad too. You know, it can wear things out like your tires and wheel bearings and fuel usage. So just sort of you got to work out what you do and don't need and how you can lighten the load, I guess.
Weight is the enemy, as Shaun's book of excuses is quite thick, mate. But I reckon this one from Mr. Max Edwards, mate, I reckon this one gets the $100 Repco gift card, because not taking weight into consideration, had to basically sell everything and start again. So hopefully that $100 Repco gift card coming your way will help to build your vehicle up the right way from now.
That's all we have time for today. You're probably sick of hearing us ramble by now, but we do love hearing from you. And the best way to support us is go and follow us on all our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and even TikTok nowadays. I don't have it, but apparently we do.
Yeah, mate, there's some cool videos of you doing funny dances on there. So, of course, if you want to get in touch with us and get your answers on the show as well, they are the best ways to do it. And, of course, we've got plenty of exciting stuff coming up with some epic trips Jesse and I have done, including Tassie in the Land Rover behind me. Cannot wait to show you that one. But, Jesse, mate, I'm going to get myself another beer and maybe spin some spanners on the disco behind me. I'll catch you next time, eh?
Yeah, sounds good, mate. I'm going to have a beer, and yeah, I've got some more grinding and welding to do as well. I'll catch you next time, mate.